Hey everyone, Vegan Cupid here. Thank you so much for joining us. So, in case you are not too familiar with who I am a vegan matchmaker and dating coach. And for the last 10 years, I've been helping vegan singles find love in various capacities. I know, 10 years, it's crazy. I've personally been a vegan for 16 years, and my goal is always to inspire people and show them that it is absolutely possible to find a vegan partner if that's what you're looking for. Okay. So I've been wanting to do this series for quite some time, never really got around to it, but hey, so Valentine's Day is coming up, and we're all going through COVID time, so I really believe in just like focusing on really positive feel good stuff. Okay, so if you're watching live and you're watching from a Facebook group, I would love for you to authorize StreamYard. Okay, so I'll pop the link right here, because that way I'll be able to see who you are when you're commenting. Okay, and so whether you're watching live or the replay, feel free to post questions. And today I have three special couples, all of which I have some sort of connection with. Okay, so the first couple that I'm going to introduce you to is Shanny and Keegan. So let me bring them up. So here we go. Okay, hey guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. So our backstory of how we all know each other is we actually used to be neighbors when we all lived in the Bay Area. So it was a really, really long time ago, and I had the pleasure of seeing these two on a regular basis. I remember, Keegan, your amazing kale that you used to grow in your backyard that you so nicely shared with me, and it was like the most amazing thing ever. And so you guys have been together for a really long time. And I remember you sharing your story with me of how you met. And I don't quite remember it. So I'm really looking forward to reliving it again, because I remember the first time I heard it, I thought it was really awesome. So why don't we go ahead, tell us a bit about who you are, how long you've both been vegan for, if you went vegan together and all that good stuff.
You go first.
Sure. I went vegan 15 years ago. And so no, we didn't know each other when I went vegan, and he's been vegan for
23 years.
Yeah, so even longer than me. I'm Shanny, and I grew up in the Bay Area, and Keegan grew up in Richmond, Virginia. And I've been in the animal rights community for pretty much 15 years, and he's been in the animal rights community for even longer. But we never met each other, even though our paths did cross at animal rights conferences. I never saw him. I don't think he ever saw me. But my friend Christine, who works at Harvest Home Animal Sanctuary, and she's actually the executive director now, she texted me late at night and said, hey, there's an egg farm and they abandon all of their eggs. And can you come tomorrow? All their hens. And can you come tomorrow? We're going to try to rescue these hens. And I had work, and I don't know, something in me just said I needed to be there. And so I called in sick and I drove 2 hours to where she is. And then we ended up in Turlock really, really early in the morning. And I noticed that there was this really shitty van. This really shitty van parked in front of us. And I was like, oh my God, whose van is that? It looked like a kidnapper van. And she said, oh, I bet you that's Keegan and David. And I was like, who's Keegan and David? And she said, oh, they're from Animal Place. So we kind of sat, and then we eventually walked over to the van, and I looked inside, and right away I zoned in on Keegan, and I was like, who the fuck is this? How do I not know him? I've been in the animal rights community for a long time, and I've been looking. And so I noticed him right away, and he noticed me. And so we met basically rescuing chickens. Do you want to add to that?
I totally remember that story now. I remember that whole day of when we've heard that news. So thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, Keegan, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I was interested in Shanny from day one, because she was this badass activist who was, showing up early, like showing up on a work day to try and help animals. And so, as a vegan activist, like that's kind of the dream, that was, to have a beautiful vegan activist partner. And pretty quickly, I was pretty infatuated with her, and it wasn't
Fucking right.
and I wasn't sure if like I wanted to date her, or if just like get into hood rat shit together, or what I wanted. But I wanted to get to know her a lot better. And so, yeah, I think we kind of equally pursued each other.
Yeah, I would say that.
That's awesome. And how long were you both single for before you met?
So I was single. I was in like 2 5-year relationships, pretty much back to back. And then when that second relationship ended was when I went vegan, and I moved an hour away, and I kind of started my life over again. So I was like single for about 6 years. I had like one relationship in kind of in the middle there that was kind of like semi-serious. And then actually right before I met Keegan, I was kind of dating this guy. He traveled a lot, and he had asked me over the phone if we like, hey, can we be exclusive? And I was like, I guess, like I was like fine with it because I didn't have anything going on anyways. So I was like, sure. And then he ended up cheating on me, which, okay, great. And I was in a place in my life where I was like, I wasn't having any of that nonsense. And so, but I still let him stay with me because he had nowhere to go. So he had actually left like 5 days before I met Keegan, which sounds kind of sleazy, but it's not. So I feel like I was pretty much single for about 6 years, and and I didn't have like a serious like live-in relationship.
Yeah, and I hadn't been in a real relationship for at least a year. So, but I was looking. I was definitely looking for love. Because, like I think anybody who's in the vegan community knows that it can be hard connecting with people if they're not vegan. And so finding a partner, I think is just an added challenge, because, you come from this kind of moral baseline that you want or expect from a partner.
That's awesome. And like you two, I mean, you met in such a random way, right? Not so many people are that lucky to meet someone like that. So that's like a really awesome story. And so, do you have any like words of wisdom or any advice to how to maintain, a happy and healthy relationship? Because unfortunately, so many relationships, end, right? And so many divorces, so many marriages end up in divorces. And so it's really fascinating to me, the people that have been together for a long time. Like it's and relationships do take a lot of work. You have to work at it every day, right? I mean, but it's so worth it, and you guys obviously agree. And so do you, like, what's your secret?
I think for me was I'm so grateful that I was single for those 6 years, because I did, I was in 2 back-to-back 5-year relationships, and being single and on my own was really life-changing. And it just showed how codependent I was, and how dependent on my partner for my happiness, for everything. They were like my whole world. I didn't have any friends. So I really appreciate my time being single, and also, kind of dating here and there. And I think sometimes you need to see the worst in order to notice the best. So I think being with people who weren't treating me how I knew that I deserved to be treated was really important, and it was a life lesson. And I think it kind of sucks that sometimes you have to be with shitty people to kind of get those life lessons. But it was absolutely the case where when Keegan showed up, I felt like I had whiplash a little bit, because I kept kind of expecting all of those bad things to happen, and like for his mood to change and for the crazy to come out. And he was expecting the same thing with me. He's expecting me to like go crazy one day. It could come. But yeah, and I think it was just so refreshing meeting Keegan, and I think part of it is he was raised really well, and he was raised
Mom of Tommy Good.
yeah, to respect women, you know, and it's like, he was just like, you know, I thought it was funny. I just like, I appreciate it, even though I made fun of him at the time, but it's like, he asked consent for everything. He asked like, can I come into your room? Can I sit here? Can I touch your hair? Can I do this? And I was like, oh my God, just ravish me. But but I thought, oh, that's like, you know, like what a respectful person. But I think one of the biggest things beyond communication, which I'm sure Keegan will talk about, for me was, you can't expect your partner to be your whole world. Like, you just can't. You have to have your own shit. You have to have your own likes and your own interests and your hobbies. And it's, if your partner is your whole life, then you're just constantly like, you know, waiting like a dog, like waiting for them to make you happy. And it's just not, you know, it's not going to happen. And I told Keegan, like from the get-go, like, hey, I can't be your whole world, you know, like we all need our own interests. And so we have our collective interests, but then we also have interests, you know, outside. So it's like, he's constantly creating, I'm constantly with cats or doing yoga. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, I love that. And thank you so much for saying that, because that's a big part of what I teach my clients, is that it is totally okay to be alone. And it is so necessary to be okay with being single and really loving yourself before you actually get into a relationship. Right.
Yeah.
And so Shanny, you talked about, you know, the last guy who was like really shitty and going through shitty experiences. And I really do believe that all these experiences, when we find that person, that the right person for us, it makes it like, you realize so much more how amazing they are after having going through all these shitty experiences, right? So I really do think that every experience is so valuable. Yeah, it sucks going through it, but
talk about how amazing I am. Go ahead.
I think that the communication is really important. And I think, you know, when you talk about how you feel, and then hearing, you know, how your partner feels, I think is really important. But, you know, a big part of what attracted me to Shanny was the fact that she did self-dialogue. You know, she would, and it's something that I do as well, is that, you know, you ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And you really go through instead of just feeling an emotion. And that, I think, has saved our relationship so many times, because it's like, you get frustrated about something, but it's like, am I really frustrated with about that? And then you go back and you're like, no, it's because this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. It's like, I'm not really upset about what the thing that I think I'm upset about. It's because of 10 other things that happened before that. Mm-hmm. And there's a, you know, a respect. But as Shanny said about like the making somebody your whole world, I work from home, and Shanny worked out of the house for most of our relationship. And so I was insulated by myself all day long. So when she would come home, it was like, I wanted Shanny to be like my entire world. She's my best friend. She's my partner, like everything, and my only social interaction. And that wasn't fair. Like, that put stress on our relationship, because I wanted and needed her to be everything. And so it was really important to be like, yeah, I actually have to have a life outside of our relationship. That if your partner, and again, this is easy, I think, even more particularly for vegan couples, because it's, again, maybe harder to have a larger community of people, but to go out and have outside friends that aren't necessarily, you know, your partner.
It's so true. And the fact that the part about you both working, you know, and being in the same home. And I remember, like, you know, when you lived in Northern California, like, that was a small apartment.
We lived in a 450 square foot house.
Yeah.
That's right. A house, not apartment. Yeah, that was tiny. And so, I mean, so you were already equipped with this whole COVID thing, right? You already spent so much time together in the same place. So unfortunately, a lot of couples have broken up during COVID because they realized, like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think how long ago did you get engaged?
So we already got married. So we
you did. Okay.
Yeah, we got married just in Santa Cruz at a courthouse. We still want to do a wedding party. We were supposed to have a wedding party last July, but COVID. So that didn't happen. So it's just, you know, it's really just a party for us.
But we got engaged 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I asked him to marry me because
That's
fuck
right.
gender roles.
Yes. I remember that. I love that so much. Like, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Okay, well, also because I knew he was gonna fuck it up, and I wanted it to be a specific way, and I'm a control freak, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this shit myself. So when we were still living in California, I was working with kids with autism, and I was walking with the little girl I worked with, and that's when I would like do my thinking. And I thought, I'm going to ask him to marry me. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to get a ring. And I called my sister, and she was like so excited. And so I ordered a ring, and I had to wait for the shipment, but he's always home. So I was like, fuck, how am I going to get this ring? Because if I get a package, he's going to be like, what's that? He's going to want to know what it is. So I was able to get it. And then we finally moved to Sedona, and I thought, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it, after we move and in the summertime. And I thought, oh, we'll do it on this like beautiful rock. We'll go hiking. But in Sedona, there's, what are they called again?
Monsoons?
Yeah, they're monsoons.
Big thunderstorms.
Yeah, big thunderstorms. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it today. But then a monsoon would hit, and there's like lightning. And so you can't go hiking on a big rock. And then this one day I said, oh, okay, this is it. And I said, do you want to go hiking? And he's like, yeah. And so we go, and I'm like trying to get the sunset. We're hiking up this hill, and I am like going so fast because I'm trying to get the sunset. He's like, oh my God, why are you going so fast? I'm like out of breath. I'm like, oh my God. And we get to the top, and I do yoga, and I'm always like, can you take a picture of me doing yoga? So I tricked him, and I was like, hey, can you stand right there? Because I'm going to set up my camera because I want to take a yoga picture. But I really took a video. And so I set up my camera, and he waited there, and I turned on my camera, and then I asked him to marry me because I knew he wouldn't have done that, and I needed it on video. So I took it into my own hands.
That is so freaking amazing. You are so badass, Shanny. I don't know like anybody else who's ever done that.
Yeah.
I love it. Were you super surprised, Keegan?
No, I mean, I was a little bit, but I was planning the same thing on asking Shanny to marry me. I'm not big on marriage, but I knew it was really important to Shanny. So I was like, all right, well, yeah, that's fine. Like Shanny, pretty early on, I realized that Shanny was my life partner. And like, I only wanted to be with her, and that was it. And so the whole thing about getting married is like, all right, well, yeah, sure. I'll sign the paperwork. I'll do a ceremony, but you're already it for me. So yeah, I'd actually talked to a mutual friend of ours about, asking Shanny to marry me, and he was giving me some advice, and
he said, don't do it.
But yeah, it was sweet, and I also really appreciate that it wasn't this standard gender roles of male asking female to marry.
I locked that shit down.
Yeah,
locked it down.
That's awesome. And so Shanny, did you feel different after you were like officially married?
No, but it was, I think when we went to the courthouse, we really just thought that we were just going to go. Like my parents really wanted to be there, and my sister wanted to be there. So we kind of thought that we were just going to go and like sign papers, but there was like actually like a chapel. And then we were like standing, and she was like, there was this stranger like officiating. And I remember looking at Keegan, and he was looking at me like, oh shit, like this shit's getting real. And I was like, yeah, dude. We're getting married.
I got my wedding band the night before at a
pawn shop. So yeah, it's literally not been any different. I think for me, it's more. I think just how screwed up our society is of just legalities of things and rights, and if something happens, and being able to have access to all his money and stuff.
The truth comes out.
No, it's just like I think it's just more of just like the reality of it. And we like, our names didn't change or anything. And I honestly, I didn't feel really any different. I think what felt more different was buying a house. I think that was maybe more of a big deal for us. That was more life-changing than actually getting married.
Yeah, I get it. I'm doing some total adulting with my partner, and we got wills together. I'm like, oh boy.
I'm serious.
I'm like, no, shit's getting real. We got wills together. Yeah. Well, that was really amazing. Do you have any words of advice? Because, I talk to vegan singles on a daily basis, and unfortunately, a lot of them are, discouraged that they will never find that special someone, and let alone someone who's vegan. And so, do you have any like words of encouragement or advice for anyone who is watching, who is single and vegan and just really, really wants to find that amazing relationship like you guys have?
I think it's easier for men because the vegan community is mainly women. So slim pickings, slim pickings for women. I just say don't settle. I think I settled a lot of times and I just thought, well, I guess this is good as gonna get. So don't settle. And also, for me, I wasn't that into converting someone. I just am like, you know what? I am just too busy. Like, I just don't have time for it. But I don't think you should rule that out. I have a hard time believing that if someone is an ethical vegan and the other person is not an ethical vegan, I just think that's not going to work out. Eventually something's going to happen. So it is really, really important for me. That's a deal breaker, but I just think not settling.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing is that, it's really easy to be like, all right, this person checks all these boxes. They're vegan or they're into the same sort of things. And so
they're shitty.
But they're shitty. And you look past all of that just to be like, oh, but they're vegan. Like they check that box. And just because someone's vegan doesn't mean that they're necessarily a good person or necessarily a good fit for you. And so, yeah, I think it's just that is that, you're going to have to put yourself out there, right, to find somebody. I don't think it's a good idea to get into activism to meet somebody, but if you're into activism, the possibility of meeting someone else who's like-minded, who's passionate about that, that's awesome. Get into activism for the activism's sake. But there is a community that comes with it. And so I think that's a big part of it is putting yourself out there and being part of a larger community. It makes it easier to meet like-minded people. And
honestly, for me, it was when I met Keegan, I was very happy. I lived by myself. I had my 3 cats. I ran every day. I danced. I worked. I was by myself a whole lot. I was so happy. I could not be happier by myself. I really was not looking. And I know that kind of is cliche is to say like, oh, something comes, when you stop looking. But for me, that was the truth. I wasn't looking for it. And when I met him, I was like stoked on it. But I was kind of like, you know what, he's awesome, but if it doesn't work out, that's okay. I just didn't have any expectations going into this. And I mean, he did smash like everything. He's like the best.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, continue being awesome. You two, you're obviously doing really well, and I'm so happy for you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, so now Teal, I'm gonna bring up Teal and Noah. I was supposed to have Ellen and Troy next. I'm not sure where they are. Ellen, if you're watching this, we are ready for you. So let me bring them on up. Hi guys.
Hi.
See you. Thank you so much for being here. This is the first time we actually connect via video. We should have done this a really long time ago. Yeah. But thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear more about you guys. So the special connection that I have with these two, we've never met in person. We've never done the video thing, as I just said, but they met at one of my veg speed dating events. And so they are one of the many couples that have met at the events. Unfortunately, if you've been following me, you know that I stopped doing the events a couple of years ago. But I'm still reconnecting with people seriously on a daily basis who have found me through one of these events. And so I'm really, really excited. And this couple has been on one of my featured stories on my website for quite some time now. So maybe you recognize them from there. But yeah, so tell us, let me just change this view here. All right, so tell us, well, yeah, I already revealed that you guys met at the speed dating event. And so tell us a bit more about, who you are, where you live, and tell us, like, because I know people are dying to know, like, how was it when you actually went to the event and met? So tell us all about it, please.
Oh, sure. So we live in Portland. I guess I could just talk about how speed dating went. I know everyone's curious about that. I loved speed dating. I thought it was so fun. Yeah, it was, I don't know. I just thought it was really cute and it was really low stress. And it was just nice to just chat with a bunch of people. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I wish they were still happening.
Yeah. Oh, really? No.
I mean, for other people. I mean, because I had so much fun, I want other people to have so much fun.
I actually feel pretty similar. So it was kind of really unique circumstances for both of us. When we met, it was at the vegan speed dating, and it was 2 weeks before she was going to move, maybe 3 weeks before she was going to move to the San Juan Islands. And we both just heard about this event as a one-off, and it turned out it was a really wonderful event. And I remember meeting Teal and getting, I think we got 5 minutes with every person. Yeah. And I was like, I've got to know more. And I didn't know she was going to move. And
neither did I.
Yeah. After we matched on there, I went on a date with her after that at the By and By in Portland, Oregon. And it was like, it had to have been in August or something. It was a really hot day.
Yeah.
And that was where she revealed to me that she was going to move very far away to a remote island. And I was like, I remember because I was biking home in the summer weather. And I was like, oh man, she's going to move. And I just met her and that vegan speed dating was so great. And I've been telling everybody about how wonderful it was because you get to meet a lot of like-minded individuals. And even if there's no chemistry or romantic interest with all of those people there, you can easily see how you could build friendships out of those things. I'm always like, why aren't there like friendship speed dating type things? Yeah. And but from that moment on, I just kept in contact with Teal the entire time that she moved into San Juan Islands, and she eventually moved back 6 months later. And so
was it 6 months? I think it was less. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a weird time. It was between 3 to 6, I think. What matters is that we were in contact the entire time. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was
sorry. So were you both vegan before you met?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so both. Yeah. And so Teal, you said that you really liked speed dating events. So it wasn't your first speed dating event then, I take it.
It was my first. I was just so enthusiastic about it. I was so impressed.
Okay, that's awesome. And so, like, did you know, like, the moment that you sat down across from him, did you have a feeling, any indication at all that you would end up with him?
I actually had a feeling before that because he was the first person I saw when I walked in the bar. Where was that? Yeah, it was at a bar of some sort.
No, not Capital. I can't remember.
It wasn't. It was related.
Jackknife.
I walked. He was like sitting out in front because it was in the back, and I think you were supposed to be kind of like showing. You're supposed to be like, all right, people, it's in the back. And so I saw you when I was walking in, and I was like, so cute. And
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw you when I first walked in. And yeah, so I think there was definitely something when we sat down. Yeah, also you were the only one there with like long hair, and I really like long hair on men.
So you didn't find it too awkward? Like, were you nervous or?
No, I guess I was nervous. I was pretty chill about it though. And I was like ready to like get in there and just meet people. Like I never wear dresses, but like I put on a tight dress and I was like, just like, all right, we're just doing this. We're going all out. So I wasn't like too nervous about it because it was more about me doing this sort of exploratory thing. So I was more, it was more about me going out there than about like nervous about what other people are going to think about me. So I was kind of letting all that go. Yeah.
For me, I think I'd like try when I go to any type of like public place, like I kind of believe in the fake it till you make it type thing when it comes to like I guess social friendliness with strangers. Like we all have anxieties in meeting people, and I'm like, well, I've just got to put that aside, and I've got to meet people. I've just got to meet people. So it wasn't awkward for me once I like was able to put myself in the right headspace to kind of ignore my social anxieties. And after the fact, I was like, oh, that was great. I'm so glad I wasn't stifled by my awkwardness.
That's awesome. And so what was life like before the speed dating event? Had you both been single for a long time, or like what's that story? Because that's what I like to really focus on. I don't know if you guys heard Shanny and Keegan's story, but Shanny was sharing about how like she loved her life. She was happy. And so she didn't need a partner. She wanted a partner. So can you tell us a bit more about what it was like before?
I mean, I don't know. I was a mess. I wasn't necessarily looking for a partner in this. Like I said, this was more about like a time in my life where I was just getting ready to put myself out there. It was more about me exploring. So I wasn't necessarily like, this is, I wasn't like dying to have a partner or anything. I was just at a point in my life where I was like really ready to like break out of what I'd been doing ordinarily. Like I was just kind of stuck in the like work rut, go home to a dissatisfying relationship, rinse and repeat. I hadn't been single for very long at all. I was kind of like launched out of a bad relationship. So yeah, I was just kind of ready to go do things. I was like out to have new adventures. Yeah.
Life before it for me, I went there looking with the intent of finding somebody I could be a life part or could have a life partnership with. And for me, I would say I was stuck in depression and when it came to the dating world. I had a lot of relationships. 50% of them were really good, but we weren't a match for life partnerships. And the other 50% were just terrible. And I just got into these little scenarios where I would date somebody for a really long time and they were not good. And what is the term? Codependent relationships. And so I had gotten out of some bad relationships and I came to Portland and I was dating and I was trying to find a vegan partner because a vegan partnership to me implies like a base level lifestyle choice of common morality. I think that's an easy way for me to phrase it. And it was really hard to find that. And so I was getting kind of depressed about that. And I always hear about men, there being very few men. And I knew those statistics at the time. And I'm like, then why is it so hellish for me to date? Like, is something wrong with me? And so I was kind of in a rut, in a different type of rut. I was like, well, I'm trying to date and I feel that I'm meeting people, but those people aren't in or looking for the same thing I'm looking for. And the vegan speed dating got me into meeting Teal. And after a lot of communication, we ended up becoming life partners.
That's beautiful. And so what has it been like during COVID, right? Because a lot of relationships have, either got really bad, really good. So what was it like for you two?
For the relationship, I don't feel like much has changed during COVID. I lost my job like most people. Fortunately, Noah is still able to work. So I've just been at home. I do school full time from home. And we got a dog. like everyone else during COVID, we got a dog. So I just take care of her and do school. And so we're both like, we still have things to do. I don't think much has changed in the relationship for COVID. Certainly our life circumstances have kind of changed, but
Yeah, I would
don't
say
care.
the life circumstances and like the anxieties around the pandemic, sometimes we'll let that get to us, and it comes out in our I guess our moods really.
Yeah.
But we try to communicate and focus on the fact that that's not representative of us or our relationship. And once we get through those types of conversations, the next day, we're okay. So I'm a very anxious person, and COVID has made it a lot harder. And I actually empathize with people trying to date right now. I can't imagine what it was like, because I can see what I was like in the past and be like, dating was hard enough for me, despite there supposedly being a few men on the market. And I totally forgot where I was going with that.
With COVID.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard.
So now I can't imagine doing that in pandemic times with my type of mentality where I'm like, oh, now I have to go meet a stranger that I'm probably going to kiss in the future.
Yeah, it's really, really hard, but it's not impossible, right?
Yeah, right.
That's again, every single day what I try to do is I try to show vegan singles that it is absolutely possible to find love and to not use COVID as an excuse to put that on the back burner, right?
Yeah.
And so
I concur.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you guys have seen or not, probably not, because you're probably not on my email list anymore. But since the beginning of the pandemic, I started hosting virtual veg parties, which are kind of like, the speed dating events, but it's all virtual. And so they've been really, really fun. And they've been an amazing way for vegan singles to be able to connect together, right, during COVID in a safe way without having to leave their house. But unfortunately, a lot of people are resistant to try one of these events because they're like, well, how do I know if there's going to be anyone my age? Or how do I know if there's going to be anyone living in my city? Or like people like, they have all these, these blocks preventing them from putting themselves out there. But that's why I love featuring stories like yours, because if you both would have, seen the speed dating event and been like, well, what are the chances that I'm going to meet anyone, right? And I can't remember, do you remember if the event that you went, if it was an all ages event or if it was age specific?
All ages.
It was all ages.
Yeah. See, that's amazing. And so that was another thing that I really struggled with the speed dating events and these virtual events, is that people are saying, well, like I'm 30. I don't want to like be in a room full of like 60-year-olds or vice versa. Right. And so again, you guys are living proof that when you have an open heart, when you have an open mind with no expectations, beautiful things can happen, but only if you are in that right mindset. So imagine if you guys wouldn't have ever gone, like your lives would be completely different. Who knows?
I would say like anybody that has reservations on that, or like putting themselves out there, they're not doing themselves any favors. We can stay in our little bubbles of comfort, but those bubbles are getting more strict, I guess, is one way to phrase it. And it's really difficult to find people. And any time that we stop ourselves, we're putting undue restrictions on ourselves. So we don't necessarily, those aren't like real restrictions. It's like, well, what if I just don't like anyone there? Or what if somebody's a different age than me? I'm like, well, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
That's
Like
okay.
that happens with every person we see on the street as well. Well, what if that person's walking by isn't vegan? I'm like, well, that's okay. They're their own person. The same goes with dating. The worst that can happen is nothing happens.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
and that's a guaranteed result if you don't do anything.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that, because that's my line. What's the worst that can happen?
Mhm.
Really? I mean, so I'm so grateful that you guys, went to this event and found love, because it's seriously stories like yours that has kept me going over the years, right? I've been helping vegan singles find love now for 10 years in various capacities, and I'm just so passionate about it because I love like being responsible for bringing people together and changing lives. It's seriously like the best thing ever. So I thank you. And do you see Dave's comment?
Yeah.
He also has long brown hair and glasses, and he's single, and he's an amazing man. So you've really like given him even more encouragement that yes, Dave, you will find love. It is just a matter of time. And I love Noah, what you said about you were still like anxious and whatever, but you still put yourself out there, and that's what's necessary.
I think there's also so I mentioned reservations. I think some people might actually be embarrassed to admit that they find love a certain way. Like I never perceived speed dating as bad, but I can see how some people might perceive it as embarrassing. It's like, oh, I went to speed dating, or I met them online, and they might not want to reveal that piece of information. But it's our modern world, and there's no shame in it at all. In meeting people in whatever way you meet a person, it's just another way to meet a person. And I just want to encourage people that might feel embarrassed by going forward and saying like, yes, I need help finding or meeting people. I just want to encourage them to give those things a shot.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And that's the thing. It is really, really hard for people to reach out and ask for help, right? But I am there for all of you guys, and there's a right time and a right place for a relationship, right? But when you tell yourself, okay, I'm truly ready for this, I want to find love, I'm ready to do what it takes, like I'm there for you guys. So thank you so much, Noah, for saying that. Do you guys have any words of advice or encouragement, again, for others who are looking for love and are maybe feeling a bit discouraged, other than putting yourself out there?
Yeah. The only thing I would say is I think it's okay to feel a little discouraged sometimes. Don't pitch a tent there. But I think it's normal, and we can just accept that sometimes it's frustrating. And yeah, just keep at it, I guess. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to be a little upset. I mean, denying it isn't going to help anyone. But it's just a matter of taking breaks as you need it, and just trying to enjoy the process as much as possible. I know that can be hard with dating. It's not always fun, but it can be. You can have cool interactions with people even if they're not your life partner. I think that dating can really be a great way to learn about yourself, to learn about other people. So I think the whole process is meaningful, even if it feels discouraging at times. Like if a relationship didn't work out, that doesn't mean that was wasted time, or that it is that you have to be frustrated about it. Like I think those relationships are just as valuable, and you can learn from them.
I also think that when I used to date in the past, a lot of people have, I guess, kind of unfair expectations for the person they're dating. It kind of makes me think of like Seinfeld or something, where like, oh, well, they're great, but then there's this one thing. I'm like, well, that one thing, you really shouldn't be measuring that in the sum of a person. you should probably be ignoring that thing and focusing on the things that matter to you in that person. And I heard the previous couple say something along the lines of, it's good to have your own spaces for things, and really embracing that and embracing the differences in in your date makes a big difference in how you perceive them and how you can perceive a future relationship with them. I know that because when I was much younger, I was always like, nope, it's got to be like this, check, 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 check. And I'm like, oh wait, that's not even a real person. Mm-hmm. And if I looked at myself one year and tried to make a checklist for myself and say like, Noah checks all these boxes, and then I came back a year later, oh well, Noah's changed a little bit, but he doesn't meet all those check boxes. That's not really a fair way to judge people, and or like judge if they're a good partner for you, because we change. And you know, I would say just like check yourself.
I love that. I 100% agree with you. There is no perfect person out there, and so if you have a list of, you know, of 100 things that you're looking for in a partner, you will probably be single for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I look forward to staying more in touch with you guys and seeing where your relationship goes. But I really appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now it is time for Ellen and Troy. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but so excited to have you two here. Another one of my favorite couples. So again, another couple that I have not had the pleasure of meeting in person, but that's the beauty of what I do, is it doesn't matter where I am or where my people are, I get to connect with amazing people all over US and Canada. It is absolutely amazing. I've been talking with Ellen for years. We've worked on numerous collaborations together. She is so incredibly inspiring. And so I had to have her be part of this, because it just would not be, you know, it would not be fair for me to not share their story with you guys, because it is amazing. And so thank you so much for being here. So why don't you share a bit about your story of how you met, because it's pretty awesome.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just show you, if the background looks a little weird, it's because we're in a furniture store. I guess the expression goes, we're nesting. They close at 5, and it's almost that, but they said we could stay a little longer. So I
was wondering, I was like, where the heck are you?
It's a long story, but a fun one. Anyway, the story of how we got together, because Troy tells such a wonderful part of that. Let's go to Troy.
Well, I didn't realize it, but I was following Ellen years before we actually connected, when I was very unhappily married and a vegan, and my partner at the time was not vegan. So we had very different lives, and I would go to the vegan veg fest, and I went to the one in Portland where Ellen spoke, and I came up to her at that point. I said, we're actually neighbors. I live in Sarasota, and I know you live there too. And she's like, you came all the way out here to Portland? I said, well, yeah, I'm vegan. I'm coming to the veg fest, and I heard you were going to speak. And so anyway, we were friends, and she would come. I was hosting a lot of vegan meetups for Sarasota, and then we just naturally had the same friends and the same connection piece. So organically, we were friends and connected. And then I got a divorce, and I had a girlfriend for a while that wasn't vegan, and that did not work out well, because again, just spiritually, we weren't connected. I mean, but that's kind of the long story of it. But then I asked her out for a friendship dinner, and it just and I let her know it's just going to stay friends, and it didn't quite work out that way.
So the other part of that is, yes, I was going to meetups at his house, and I went to this one, and I just won't even bore you with the long, sorry tale of non-vegan guys I had been with up until fairly recently, and I had a long distance relationship with a vegan guy, and it was really hard for that to work out. And oh, thank you very much.
Yeah,
We
this is our
appreciate it.
proof. So
But we're live on, so
we're
we
on a
can't
thing,
really
so
talk to you. But
can you give us another 10, 15? Sorry, so the good thing is we are buying furniture, so they won't kick us out of the store.
and it's Matter Brothers too. So you just got 1,000 people free advertising. So let us stay
All
here
right,
another
very
30
good.
minutes. Okay, where was I? So all of my vegan partners, all of my partners before I had my first vegan experience they all had ED. And ED is the leading indicator of heart disease. And
I don't.
No, but before you, right. Let me just. So my last marriage, he ended up having a heart attack. That's how bad it was, and he would not eat vegan. His best friend said, "You live with one of the best vegan cookbook authors in America. Why don't you just eat what she makes 3 times a day?" And his answer was, "I can't." And the real answer was, "I won't." So there is this amazing knight in shining armor who comes to see me in Portland, and I'm going like, security.
Yeah, really. Great. You came all the way over here.
Stalker.
No, I figured the biggest vegan veg fest would be in Portland. I know that's very vegan friendly, so I was excited. But I came by myself, and like I said, I was actually married. But ironically, my ex-wife, we just took separate vacations. We were very different people, and she's a very nice lady, but we just don't have anything in common. That's the reality of the thing, and yet the people that I would resonate and hang out with were the people that I most enjoyed that would come to my house. And ironically, Ellen was one of those people. And it was funny because I had a girlfriend when we had one of my meetups, and I was having them at different houses because I'm in the business of buying and selling homes and renovating them and staging them. So I would have the meetups at different houses, and Ellen came over. She says, "Troy, this is a nice house. Which house is this?" And I said, "This is actually the one I live in." Oh. And I said, "This is my girlfriend," and I was telling my girlfriend at the time, I said, "You really need to connect with Ellen. She's just the most amazing woman. You should buy her books. You need to become more like her." Well, that didn't go over very well.
So, and at this same meetup, I go, and I had just broken up with a boyfriend who, again, I was trying to convert to veganism, and that just didn't go really well. And although it can, I just want to kind of put that out there. But I said to him, "So, like, if you know any single vegan men, would you please let me know?" And so 2 weeks goes by, and I messaged him and said, "How's my favorite vegan matchmaker going?" And that's when he said, "You want to just go out, like, get some as friends."
Yeah, I had just gone through a divorce, and I wasn't really ready. I had a girlfriend that was safe because, I know it wasn't going to get serious because it was, a Band-Aid, so to speak. But, and then I told Ellen, I said, I'm not, I'm going to be a loner the rest of my life. Right.
I'm going to move to California and go surfing.
I'm going to be a hippie. I'm going to live under a rock, and I'm going to be happily ever after by myself. So just full disclosure.
And I was good with that. I said, if I can see you like a few minutes every week, I'm like so good with that because, you are pretty entertaining and vegan. And as we would find out, not only is he a runner like I am, but I said to him, there were some really great strawberries at the Sarasota half marathon a few years ago, about mile 10. And he goes, I was at that race,
but I was behind you by a lot.
That's amazing.
There was probably 1,000 people that ran that race, but we were both in that. It was the half marathon, and we were both there and didn't know each other at that point, but we did run the same. So we're going backwards in time and saying, "Well, I was there too. How interesting was that?" And then we know the same friends. But I think the biggest compliment I have is one of our friends, a big vegan, and just somebody I respect a lot. So, when the news came out that we were dating and we were a couple, his response was power couple. And I was like, I'm taking that. That was really, here are these two strong vegan activists in our area, and now they're a couple. And it was just those 2 words meant a lot to me, that that was his response to knowing that we're a unit.
I agree. You guys really are a power couple. And Ellen, you are such like the poster woman, for it's never too late to find love. And I can't tell you how many women I've heard, in your age group say that it's too late for them. And I'm always saying, no, it's never too late. And so what would you say to those women who say that?
Just go to meetups. In fact, I went to one today, and we were talking about how we were probably never going to have potluck meetups again, but the whole idea of having a picnic and being outside and everybody bring their own food, that is very doable. Or go to a restaurant where you can sit far enough away if you want and eat outside. So there are ways to do this in like real life. And just utilize every service available to you, like of course what you do, and just using connections. There are lots of Facebook groups, and other, I guess, different groups online that you can connect up with. Just don't give up. I mean, I kind of had to. I mean, I really thought, what are the odds? And, part of it is just finding someone who will accept you as you are. I mean, I was traveling a lot and definitely in the workaholic mode. And since COVID and everything, that shut down my book tour. It shut down my racing career. I was a nationally ranked sprinter. And so Troy very generously said, well, why don't you join me in my real estate business?
Mhm.
And so that's what we've been able to do. And he used the phrase recently, just, how attached we are to each other. And Colleen Patrick Gaudreau posted a YouTube video they did 4 years ago about how they stay happily in love. And if you haven't seen that, it's a really good 10 points. And one of them is just to have your own interests. And, as much as I adore and love Troy, it's like, I got to like pull out sometimes, like, and just, go to the sailing squadron or
Mhm.
just do something that is, gives him the space I know he needs.
Mhm.
Just to kind of, I don't know, just you do need that time away, I think.
Yeah, because even outside of that, we still have different interests. But yeah, I mean, I'm an only child, and I'm used to being independent, and I do need. I actually enjoy my time alone sometimes. So sometimes when you're in a relationship with somebody that's very insecure, that doesn't work well, because when you say I need my alone time, they take it as abandonment, and it's like, I'm not abandoning you. I just need to be I need my space. Give me a little bit of time, and I'll be a lot better person for you if you can just let me just be myself and let me just have my space. And so that works out really well. And I mean, it was funny. We're in this furniture store and we bought some furniture. And I told her, I said, I've never been in a furniture store with another woman where we don't come out where we're mad at each other, that somebody's feelings didn't get hurt, that we're just angry. I mean, we literally, it was just so easy to say, okay, we're not doing any leather. So that eliminated half the things to look at. And we were just cautious of our decisions, and the things that we like together. I mean, our tastes were, and that she allows me my independence to say, I don't like that. And okay, that's fine. And we had to pick out a certain material and all the things. And we agreed, but it was a very pleasant experience because we have so much shared ideas that they do resonate in our choices of what we would actually select for even furniture for our home. So that was really fun because I've always hated, I mean, I told her, I said, I don't think I've walked in the store in 10 years. It's just walking into a furniture store was always a painful experience, but we need furniture. So, I mean, we're in a place where we it's kind of like, okay, let's do this, but I hope it's going to be okay. And
Yeah,
it was
it's
fun.
like, at this point in my life, it's like, whatever. Because the most important thing is that we have each other, and we got together. We actually moved in before COVID, and I was terrified. I was thinking, oh my, as wonderful an idea as this seems, is it too soon, too fast kind of thing? Even though we'd known each other for like 4 years before we started going out. Um, and I just think we've really been lucky for it to work out. I mean, I won't lie and say that it hasn't taken some work and trying to figure out, what what's really important here. And it's just been so much fun. And I would really encourage anybody who's listening to just not give up and figure out some way to connect and, just figure out what works.
Well, it's a lot easier if you can be friends first and find people, be honest about who you are, and get real involved with that spirit. I mean, what's nice being a vegan is we do have a lot of meetups in our area and outside our area. So even within an hour, 2 hour drive, there's events, and you start making friends, and friends have friends, and then it's just nice if you can have friends, and then find resources like what you offer, where you're trying to connect with people that are of like mind. I mean, that makes the relationship better if you can have that chemistry together.
I think we were at a meal. When was it? Was it yesterday? And the people next to us, oh yeah, at the running event we went to, people were talking about what they ate for breakfast, which was like eggs and bacon, and like we both just looked at each other and rolled our eyes. I mean, we were not rude to the people who were there, but there was definitely this eye contact that we had, like
unspoken language between ourselves.
I love that, and it's like, I love that you guys are doing this from a furniture store. It shows that you two are so playful, and it's all about having fun. That's how you keep a relationship alive, right? Even during COVID times. The other day, my partner and I actually left the house together for the first time in a long time, and went to go do groceries, because what else is there to do when your city's in lockdown? And we were laughing. We're like, yeah, this is Friday night date night. That's what it's come down to, but you just got to make the best of it, right? So I love it. Yeah. I mean, you guys are just so, I love your energy. And I mean, that's why you have such a good relationship, right? Because you're happy and playful and give each other space and all that wonderful stuff. And yeah, so you two are awesome. So I really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts?
Just keeping it at like date night. That was a good reference, and we do that every Friday night, no matter how busy we are during the week. And even though we can be in the same office, we may not see each other all day, or just we know that there's a certain time of the week that we're going to be together, and we're going to make that special. And Troy's always, his favorite word, I think, may be adventure. And he just likes creating magic out of Home Depot. And, I mean, that's not
that's not what I thought you'd say, but okay.
Well,
I like that. My answer would be what's possible. Anytime because we're always in a negotiating, or we're always trying to piece situations together in our business. So I'm always about what's possible. And the only way you're going to find out what's possible is to take an adventure. And even if you're not sure where it's going to lead, just go on the adventure, because something possible will happen. You're not sure what it's going to look like, but it's not, if you don't do anything, like the young man said earlier, nothing is guaranteed to happen. But if you are proactive and taking chances, then something will happen. It might not be what you think, but it could be better. It could be better than what you hope for.
Yeah.
I love that. Life truly is an adventure. So thank you so much for the both of you for being here. I greatly appreciate it. I wish you all the best, and I'm sure you guys are going to have something really fun planned for Valentine's Day.
Is that coming up?
We'll figure it out.
All right. Thank you so much, you two. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So speaking of Valentine's Day, next week, I am doing a special Vegan Cupid show where I'm going to be featuring one of my matchmaking clients. And I have 3 potential matches for him. So we will get to see my client, but we will not get to see the women. He's going to ask them questions. They are going to ask them questions. And then you guys watching live will vote for who he should go on a virtual date with that night. Okay. So that's taking place. It's going to be live streamed on this page, and also on the Plant-Based Network. Okay, so that is going to be happening at 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern time. So tune in to watch that. And I'm also going to be interviewing more couples this Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be featuring 2 other couples. I'm super excited. So I hope that you will tune in and watch. And I've popped up a few things here on the screen. So if you are single and you are looking for love, I highly, highly recommend getting into my Veg Love Vault, okay? That's where I go to find potential matches for my clients. So you may or may not ever hear from me because I only work with a small handful of clients at a time, okay? And this is not an online dating website. It's not a searchable database, but it is your chance to be potentially matched with one of my clients. It also gets you on my email list so that you can find out about all my awesome upcoming events. And that's a great way to stay in touch. And I also have my Facebook group. So again, if you want to connect with other vegan singles from the US and Canada, this is a great place to do so. And lastly, I have a free training that I've put together to and hopefully inspire you and help you answer some of the questions you may be asking yourself. It's totally free. It's 30 minutes long. You just have to sign up for it to get access. And so thank you so, so much for watching. I'm just going to see here if there are any questions. I don't think there are. So again, it's been a pleasure. I really hope that you've been inspired by these beautiful love stories. And, you know, I love love, and that's why I really want to do this. I really wanted to show you guys that it is absolutely possible to find love. You just have to believe in yourself, love yourself, and put yourself out there. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you'll be able to tune in on Wednesday, and if not, you'll be able to watch the replay afterwards. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye.